Hello and welcome to your Rate My League preview show. I'm Andy Goldstein, joined by Adam Tzikas. We are looking at Pick of Destiny, point per reception, Dynasty, 14-team, Superflex, tight end, premium, IDP. It's got everything. Aaron bought the show. Thank you so much to Aaron. First year for this league. Aaron has gotten shows before from Rate My League. Not someone new to getting Rate My League shows, but this league certainly is new. We do have a lot to get to. Aaron wrote in, said that the league does have one round of Devy picks during even years, so that was not this year. I frantically was messaging him today. I was like, wait a second, where's Ashton Genty? I didn't see him drafted. And, well, yes, he was drafted in the 2024 Devy draft. We will get to some of those selections as we move along here. So those were the round 10 picks in 2024. We have 11 starters on offense, 12 starters on defense here, 1 required quarterback, 2 required running backs, 2 required wide receivers, 2 required tight ends, 1 super flex spot on offense, and 2 additional flexes. And then I guess actually it looks like it might be split up. The flexes might be split up a little bit depending on position, but whatever, the computer figures it out, doesn't matter. On the defensive side, 2 defensive tackles only, can't start 3 even if you wanted to, 2 to 3 defensive ends, 2 to 4 linebackers, 2 to 3 cornerbacks, and 2 to 3 safeties here. I do like that defensive tackle was not allowed to be part of the IDP flex.
That's interesting for sure. Maybe an oversight? I don't know.
Who knows? Not that anyone wants to start an extra defensive tackle. Here's how it works. We're going to count down 14 to 1. We're going to talk about total redraft value, starter redraft value on offense. Those are both offense. And then total dynasty value on offense. And then IDP value. And then future draft capital. All of that gets boiled down into a team scorches out of 10. That's how we rank the squads. From there, we have other things we can talk about. Doesn't directly impact the rankings, but it's fun. Nonetheless, trades. I don't remember seeing a ton of trades, but there were certainly some. So we'll talk about trades where they do pop up here. And then helmet sticker. The 2025 rookie draft, of course, which becomes a little bit more intriguing when it's lacking some of those Devy picks from last year.
I mean, I'll say too, Andy, I've been playing fantasy football. I've been playing Dynasty at least for I probably should. I have to go think back now, but it's been over 15 years, probably.
Yes.
Getting close to 15 years.
Yes.
I have never seen anyone have an alternating Devy draft. Either it's in there or it's not. I've never seen anyone decide to just kind of alternate it. So
I was going to ask you. I was going to ask you about that. I am not a Devy guy. I'm just not. I'm sure at some point in my life I'll be like, yeah, maybe I'll do Devy. But it's just, here's the thing. Here's the problem for me. I already watch 12 hours of football or whatever on Sundays, and then I watch every game basically. So if I start watching college football also, my wife would divorce me. It's immediately going to happen. So that's funny. She had to put the foot down somewhere, and that's where it was.
I would love to do the same. It's just, for me, it's hard to keep it up. People who are into it are super into it. I like a little bit. I feel like this is a nice kind of dipping the little toesy in. Someone drafted a high school player. That's so fun. My co-host Luke, he's in a league where they draft they go all the way down to middle schoolers because every year they do a 20 round Devy draft every single year. So if you think about how many players that they're doing their Devies, it's crazy.
Sadly, I have seen people talking about there's rankings for these, I don't know how old, but incoming high school freshmen.
Yes,
wild stuff.
100%.
Here's how. So the other point here, we take consensus rankings and we convert them into auction figures. And as a point of reference, in a 14-team Superflex tight end premium league like this, you're expecting the average offense to come out to about $250 in total value. And then on defense, about $100. We're using a balanced scoring approach here, meaning that defense, the best defensive players are scoring around sort of maybe not quite as high as the best offensive players, but it's not that far away. So balanced value there for IDP. Okay, let's get going. Lots to get to. Number 14, Nacho. So there's a lot of bad stuff here, Adam, but I was going to say let's start with the good thing, but is it a good thing that this team is number 2 in IDP value when everything else is dreadful and they went 5-9 last year?
Yeah, so I took a look at the scoring. I mean, IDP is well scored. You do have to start a lot of them, so I think that's good. But for me, IDP is like it's a kind of a bit of a floor play to me. I feel like if you have a good IDP, it's like Fred Warner, great example, Michael Parsons, Max Crosby. These are guys on this team. Jeffrey Simmons, Jesse Bates, all great examples of guys are getting probably around 10 points. No matter what happens, they're going to be near the football. Maybe they don't have the big splash plays. I think and on the flip side, someone like, Christian Kirk or even Alvin Kamara, it's just not your day. Maybe you get a 3-catch game for 14 yards, right? So for me, IDP is like becoming a bit of a floor play. Like I want to have a good IDP to build that high floor. The problem is when you're not competitive, having a high floor is going to impact your draft pick.
Yes, it does not help. I mean, look, this team still ended up with what looks like the 3rd slot in the draft, where they did get Cam Ward with their 1.03 and Kyle Williams, very early selection at 2.03 there. But yeah, this is a team that the offense does not support it. This team is dead last, number 14. I said the average offensive roster in this setup with Superflex and tight end premium should come out to about $250. This offense has $55 of total redraft value. That is really not good. That's nearly a fifth of an average offensive roster in this league. You cannot go to battle every week with the number 2 IDP in an offensive situation that is this dreadful. That is really not good. Every position is in the bottom 3 on offense.
Yeah, it's an opportunity to maybe sell some of these IDP guys. Clearly, having Cam Ward, I think is a bit of a, we got to rebuild around those quarterbacks. It's so hard to get those young quarterbacks. I think they got pretty good value. I mean, even considering Ashton Jeanty was gone, I think they got a little lucky with Hampton going before him, and we'll talk about that when we get to the Hampton team. But, I think they got a little lucky there. I feel like it was definitely necessary considering without it, they really don't have a quarterback. I mean, Anthony Richardson maybe is a starter, maybe plays 6 games and gets hurt. So, it's, it was dire straits, I think, for this team.
Yes, Richardson was listed on the unofficial team depth chart as the starter or Daniel Jones as the starter. They don't know.
Just a co-starter. We have co-host, co-starter.
This team, number 14 in Dynasty value as well. They actually managed to lose some Dynasty value because Alvin Kamara is here. Trade him. Why is he here? Why is Alvin Kamara on this team? And yeah, this is a brutal offensive situation, and the IDP is not helping, as evidenced by that 5-9 record from last year. It is just not nearly enough. I'm very concerned about the fact that this team doesn't have any trades in the offseason. What are they doing? What is the plan? There's no plan here.
Yeah, picked from the 3 slot. Doesn't seem like they're really too invested. You got to make some moves. Sell these IDP guys. Just take a 3rd. I mean, yeah, maybe not for Michael Parsons, but I'll take a 3rd for Max Crosby if I'm rebuilding. He is doing nothing for me. Maybe we can get a sweetheart deal for a 2nd. Fred Warner as well, same thing. And you can rebuild off 3rds for sure.
Yeah, 2nd, and even it's quasi Devi here, so these picks are a little bit slightly devalued. So maybe you can
there's about 5 guys I think that would probably be in the 1st round here. So 4 guys, I guess. I wouldn't count Sanders and Burden as 1st rounders, but yeah, I mean it's a little bit. It definitely hurt. I mean that's when you said you already jumped on the Kyle Williams, maybe a little early, but I think that's about where he would go considering the guys that are gone.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean like technically, I think his ADP is probably like late 2nd, especially when you consider that there's probably some IDP guys that are going to go before him. Mm-hmm. And certainly there were still some IDP guys or at least one. I know Abdul Carter went in the 1st round here. So yeah, I think mid to late 2nd is where you'd expect Williams to go, and he went kind of early 2nd here. So you can nitpick. I mean, it's far from the biggest sin for this roster, the fact that maybe they went a little early on Kyle Williams, and he's gained a lot of value this preseason. So that's kind of an interesting note there. 2.64 is the team score. Helmet stickers, code red, worst rated quarterback position. Yeah, this is not good when you have, we're hoping good things for Cam Ward, but we're talking about redraft value. Cam Ward QB 27 and Anthony Richardson QB 29. That's the quarterback duo here. The Zune, worst rated wide receiver position. I guess we didn't technically mention any specific guys, but Christian Kirk is the top redraft wide receiver on the roster, wide receiver 52. They don't have a top 50 consensus redraft wide receiver on the roster. And then Kyle Williams is their wide receiver 2 here, worst rated wide receiver position. But let's play this one. Bagheads.
Hi guys, it's Taylor Bishotti from NFL Network. And this team right here is so bad that it reminds me of the Houston Oilers football team where fans used to put bags over their heads at the games. Honestly, it's so bad, it kind of offends me.
There you go. Friend of the pod from NFL Network, question mark? ESPN now?
ESPN films? I don't know.
Taylor Bishotti, offended by Nacho. Number 13, Jerry McLean. Well, if there's one thing Nacho could say, it's at least they don't have an old team. I mean, it's not like a young team there, but it's kind of like a prime age team. This group, which is number 13 in offensive value, is also old at 28 flat per starter. Now, I will say their raw redraft value here is like 3 times as much as Nacho's, so the roster itself is still significantly better. But it's an older group at 28 flat. That's not a great combination when you're in the penultimate position for both redraft and dynasty value, and you have an average starter age that is tipping over 28 years old per starter at this point. And it's crazy because C.J. Stroud is a young starter at 24. Now, Stafford's not helping at 37, but Connor's here at 30. Cooper Kupp is here at 32. I mean, there's age just sort of littered throughout the roster.
Yeah, definitely a huge problem. I think if you're not competitive, and I think, like you said, we have this team ranked 13th in redraft. Definitely some concerns there. It's a full PPR league, so they do have an okay wide receiver room, especially for the dynasty aspect of it. I do think Cooper Kupp and the PPR situation I think is really, really good this year for where he's at, like value wise. But again, you need Drake London to have a step up with kind of an unsure Penix. We're not really sure exactly how good he's going to be. Marvin Harrison showed good things. Needs to do more. Pittman doesn't really have a quarterback. There's definitely a lot of concerns here. They did have Ibuka from the Devi.
He's added
so it's kind of like they had 3 firsts in a way. So that's nice, but I just don't know if I can square up the older roster that's not that good and going out for these running backs. I mean, even if these guys are great, it's not. I don't feel like Harvey and Skidabo is going to be enough really to push this team.
I agree, and I think that maybe it's not the right value spot for some of the wide receivers, but if you keep peppering this wide receiver group with more interesting young players, that's not a terrible idea. As you kind of alluded to, this wide receiver group, number 8 in redraft value, but it does jump up to number 5 in dynasty value, with Ibuka gaining dynasty value, Marvin Harrison Jr. gaining dynasty value, and Drake London being a very exciting young player. That's definitely one area that you can build through for this team. And obviously quarterback is also a concern here, but I don't know. At that point of the draft, it may not work out. So, this is certainly a team that could have considered maybe maneuvering around the draft a little bit earlier on. It looks like they did some maneuvering a little bit later in like round 6. But this is certainly a team that, they had 2 first rounders. Maybe we could have done some trading to maybe either acquire future draft capital or sort of position themselves in a spot where taking one of those wide receivers like a Kyle Williams or a quarterback like, I don't know who was there, but maybe Jackson Dart or whomever. That's sort of where this team may have, I don't know, taking Cam Skadaboo, it looks a little worse now that he's been injured the entire the entire training camp so far, and we're getting good Tyrone Tracy pub, so it's not good for Cam Skadaboo, but that's the pick in particular that kind of stands out as sort of maybe a weak one.
Yeah, I mean, I think I see where the move is at. Like, it's kind of just drafting for need without really looking at the construction. But, I mean, they went 7-7 last year. I could see another 7-7 game, another 7-7 year for them. Or obviously, I don't think they could do much better than that. Tight end theirs got rocked a little bit with Jonathan Smith getting moved to the Steelers. I think that's definitely a concern. I think a lot of tight ends went way earlier in the tight end premium. Both the 2 marquee tight ends were gone by the 5th pick. So. That's painful. Yeah, I don't know if taking Jackson Dart there. I think it probably is much better, much better from a building perspective to kind of work on that second spot and have like kind of or you could have a pretty good duo. I mean, if Dart is able to hit the target, then that's that could be really good. Whereas Stafford, I think is already having back problems into the offseason now, and like I don't think he's got much more than a year, maybe 2. But I don't know if this is probably his last go at it.
I wonder what packaging 8 and 11 would have been able to get this team. Like moving up maybe would have been an interesting idea for this team. Maybe they tried. I don't know. But
yeah, if I'm these teams here in the back, I'm like really looking for the Devy. I don't know how if they can trade for those picks, how that works. Just because it's so much harder to rebuild with Devy because you don't get access to, a lot of these players. McMillan was gone, Burden's gone already, Jeremiah Smith's gone already, Dylan Raiola's gone already. A lot of these guys that are probably going to be pretty good, you don't even have a chance to get those guys, no matter how bad you do. So maybe there's the opportunity to trade for those Devy picks if they are tradable to get, or kind of align yourself to be the worst team in that. I see someone does have 2, so maybe that is possible, but yeah, that's where I'd be looking.
This IDP situation is not great, but I don't know if it matters that much. They're ranked 10th in IDP here.
Yeah, I mean, if you can get something for like Al Shahir, Reed Blankenship, maybe, that's the kind of way I want to go about it, just to get something. Even if it's a 4th or a 5th rounder, you could take 4/5 and get turn that into a second, maybe, type of thing. Just there's opportunities are endless.
4.88 is the team score here. Helmet Stickers, Gravity Assist, gains between $25 and $50 of Dynasty value. RML Proved, highest rated RML staff ranking versus consensus. That's on offense only. So congratulations. We got him ranked 11th. How about that? Number 12, Dewey Finterceptions. A relative early prime age team here at 26.3. We're definitely jumping up in roster strength, specifically the starters here. We have the starters ranked 6th in redraft value. So, this is kind of, it's not shocking with a team that went 8-6 last year. Certainly had a winning record last season. But it is kind of saying if this team manages to stay healthy, you could certainly do worse than having guys like Lamar Jackson, Christian McCaffrey, and Nico Collins as your frontline guys. Even David Njoku at the tight end spot. That's a pretty good frontline group of talent there. I think there is, I don't know, like I guess you could argue maybe there's some concern with the secondary starters a little bit. Certainly Pacheco is kind of a weak RB2 at running back 27 in consensus redraft value. And then certainly with like Jordan Mason as a projected starter, Wan'Dale Robinson as a projected starter, the rookie Elijah Arroyo as a projected starter, or whomever is filling that last flex play. Like that's kind of where this team is going to falter compared to the better rosters that we're going to look at.
Yeah, I agree there. I mean, it's just, I mean, I do kind of feel like Lamar can drag you pretty far. And then having Christian, I mean, that's another one. Those two guys alone can be week winners for you.
Yeah.
It's just the depth, right? If anything seems to happen to your starters, I mean, there is serious pain, and it's just hard. It's impossible to come back for that, and it's almost like a redraft team. It's like, yeah, well, I lost my 3 first round picks. Now I'm done. Good night. And that's kind of the way it's looking here.
Yeah, for sure. And look, it's a 14-team league, so depth is going to be a challenge for just about every team in the league, but it's Dynasty. So the tippy-top teams, they start to look a little unfair, and it's just a fact of life that these teams in sort of the middle of the redraft rankings, that's one area where perhaps they could struggle a little bit. It should be mentioned, this quarterback group, while it's 4th in redraft value, Drake May gains a bunch of dynasty value. It jumps up to the number 1 dynasty quarterback group in the league. We do need to see Drake May prove it on the field, but there's a lot of excitement about him this year. I will say this team overall just holds their dynasty value, though they do move up to number 7 in the dynasty rankings. Nico Collins losing dynasty value kind of offsets some of the gains from the younger guys here. Number 10 wide receiver group. If this team is going to really fall off anywhere, it's at wide receiver, where yeah, you can get by with certainly Nico Collins is great, but Devontae Smith is your wide receiver 2. That's solid. Debo is your wide receiver 3. it's starting to fall off a little bit at that point, but sure, you can squint and kind of see it. And then Wan'Dale Robinson is wide receiver 4. And Demario Douglas, whom I love, don't get me wrong, but I don't love him necessarily as my primary backup wide receiver. This wide receiver group, it can hang on by a thread, but that's probably sort of the make or break position here.
Yeah, it's just it's Wan'Dale. Is Wan'Dale going to hit? I mean, that is huge here. They picked up not having the draft picks. Kind of is painful for this team. Not being able to kind of retool a little bit is going to cause this team just a lot of a pain and there's just not much going on. Njoku again, like it's kind of studs and dudsy approach. Yeah, it's a tough one.
They did pretty well with Arroyo there because he certainly gained some value since the draft happened with the release of Fant. So he's certainly an interesting guy to watch at this point. This team, a couple things here just to wrap up. Number 13 in future draft capital. They don't have any picks in the first 3 rounds. Next year, that's a problem. And the IDP situation, they are ranked number 6.
Yeah.
So it's,
mid-pack. I mean, you've got Aiden Hutchinson, the number 1 IDP guy. Though I do kind of feel like Micah Parsons, so I guess now with the contract situation, is concerning. I guess that does kind of put Hutchinson back to number 1. I just think Parsons gives you a lot of other stuff that he does. But anyway, that's an opportunity to move someone. Josh Hines Allen, Derek Brown, super good. There's some opportunities there, maybe to move some guys. But again, I do feel like this is a situation where the IDP may be hurting more than I think it's helping.
Yeah, and I'll also say they have to start 2 defensive tackles, and they don't have a second defensive tackle that has any real value. Although, I don't know. They'll probably get
Kenny Clark's pretty much a set it and forget it type guy. So, that's always very nice to have.
5.18 is the team score. Let's play this one. Unfortunately, it's a tumbleweed. For having no other stickers. So sad, so boring. Number 11, J.D. McNugent. I almost said McNugget, but it's definitely McNugent. J.D. McNugent. Prime H team at 26.5 per starter. I think maybe we should start with the draft here because they did have 2 first-round picks, and that's actually where Jackson Dart was selected at 1.09. They also had the 1.02 with Omari and Hampton. So multiple first-round picks.
I mean, Hampton over Cam Ward when you're rolling out Fields and Rodgers.
Yeah,
even if you knew you were getting Jackson Dart, like somehow you knew that already. Like I don't know, I couldn't do that personally. I couldn't do that.
And coming away with Ward and Jackson Dart would not be the end of the world here either, since Aaron Rodgers is entering his year 42. A trip around the sun. That's not a.
And I would say Fields like QB 10 is like best case scenario. I feel like for Fields.
Fields is super interesting. First of all, because his dynasty value craters, so it's just this like redraft phenomenon with him where if he can run the ball, we've seen him be like a top 5 fantasy quarterback, and there's some excitement about that. I'll also say, just having watched the values ping pong around a little bit, especially when he got banged up in training camp, like he immediately fell to QB 15. The QB 10 through QB 15, it's just like a tie. And you can even throw in like QB, I think 8 or 9 through 15. They're just valued pretty much in a blob. So it says QB 10, but it's just very fluid between 8 and sort of 15 there. I don't know. What else do we want to talk about here? This team, number 9 in total redraft value, number 11 in starter redraft value. It's a weird team that does have some depth, kind of.
It's truly like the Hampton. I mean, it does kind of come down to the picks, right? I mean, is Hampton going to be enough to push this team into, a competitive situation? Probably not. I think that's maybe a bit of a not a good pick. Maybe drafting for need, kind of just having Breece Hall on this roster, and then Rico Dowdle, who's not really, probably just barely going to work in Carolina. I don't like that part of it. Then you've got Jamar Chase, Garrett Wilson. That's definitely nice. I mean, those 2 guys you can kind of build around a bit. Then again, a big fall off here. There's going to be some monster teams in this league. I can already tell. Now it is 14 team, so I think that does kind of skew it a little bit in terms of like it's much harder to get depth and all that stuff. Obviously, the players are spread out. But yeah, I mean, it's It's definitely an interesting pick, and I think that does kind of speak to how their season could go this year. And Hampton needs to be an absolute rock star for that really to make sense to me. And then you need to get so much out of like what quarterback situation you do have. Maybe Dart to earn the job and play a lot, and tight end as well. A tight end premium league, I love Isaiah Likely. I think he's a really good prospect, a great player to kind of have on your team to build a bit. But I mean, in terms of production, I don't know it's necessarily there yet.
And he's dealing with that foot fracture now, so he's going to probably be out. He might play week 1, but it's going to be sort of touch and go. They did trade for Theo Johnson in the offseason. They did not get him for free. They gave up a 26 second rounder for Theo Johnson, which is a little bit ambitious. I like Theo Johnson. He's got some good underlying analytics, so I get the sort of idea about Theo Johnson, but I like adding him at sort of market value, and I don't think that was necessarily a market value trade there. I will say IDP, very good. Number 3 IDP group. This team did go 9-5 last year. I'm assuming IDP played a big role in that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, having the number 1 safety group is really great. Those guys safeties tend to last a long time, especially if you've got someone who is very well known, I think, in the league, and someone who's in like the top 100 players. Those guys really stick for a super long time because they get that attachment of even other GMs of knowing them. So I expect Kyle Hamilton, Brian Branch, Xavier McKinney, those guys could be around for so long. It's the safety, 7 to 27. Same with the corners or similar situation. Obviously, it's more top heavy, but it's just that anybody can be in that level of scoring, and those guys just go in and out so quickly in the league. Well, you have a huge fantasy year, but if you have a big fantasy year, a lot of times in IDP, which does kind of suck that we haven't solved this problem yet, but a good fantasy year is potentially a very, very bad NFL year. So some of these guys that are scoring well that kind of don't have that, like, whether it's draft pedigree or years of being quote unquote good, it's just like they come and go very quickly. So having good safeties is huge for this team. But I agree with you. I think it's definitely could impact how this season goes for them. I don't know if it's enough. I highly doubt it's enough really to push them much higher than 9-5 again.
5.2 team score here. Just the tumbleweed sticker, another team that has no other stickers, which does happen a little bit more in a 14-teamer here. Number 10, Barry Judd. Barry Judd won the title last year, 8-6, and I'm like trying to figure it out in my brain. How did this team win the title? Obviously, Jaden Daniels was amazing. Josh Jacobs had an awesome year. So those two guys did a lot of heavy lifting. CeeDee Lamb was okay when he played. For CeeDee Lamb, it was a 1,200-yard, 6-touchdown season, which for some guys is awesome, but for CeeDee Lamb, you're like, okay, that's okay. It's kind of surprising to see this team won the title. This roster does not scream title winner, especially when you look at, who was QB2 here? Did they have anybody? I guess not. And then Travis Etienne had a terrible year.
Yeah, Cousins played a little bit. I don't think they yanked him until...
it was certainly the fantasy championship week. He was
That's true. That's a beauty of Superflex.
IDP, again, is pretty good here. It's a number 4 IDP group, so that is certainly going to play a role in their ability to win a title. But yeah, it's really just surprising when you see like Josh Downs and Rashad Bateman and Romeo Doubs is like a projected starter here. They are adding Quinshon Judkins from the Devy. We'll see if he can get signed and get on the field. Obviously, talking about Judkins from a fantasy perspective is gross, but I guess we sort of have to do it here. He is a projected starter for this team. He's still running back 40 now in consensus redraft. He was running back 26 or 7 or something like that before the news broke, so he's fallen quite a bit. If he can't go, there's no one else on this roster you can trust at all.
Agree. I mean, I do like Travis Etienne this year. I think his value is just absolutely at the bottom. RB31 is... I don't even know sometimes with fantasy pros. Sometimes I look at these and I'm like, how is that possible? Some of them, sometimes it's fine, but that just seems so incredibly low. Though I know they did come out and say this guy's for this guy's for that, this one's for that. But, as soon as the rubber meets the road, I think things do change up a bit.
Yeah, I agree. I'm a Travis Etienne guy, so I kind of believe in him. Although the reports out of training camp, it's like every day it's a different, like, this guy's having a great day, and you're like, okay. Like, it was tootin' today, in case you didn't know. It's just a roller coaster with the Jaguars running back situation.
Every year since their inception, I think you can consider it a roller coaster. This team's, another team that's kind of a studsy approach here. Hey, look, it worked for them. They did win the title last year, so that's obviously very helpful for them. But, CeeDee Lamb falls out on Josh Downs, Rashad Bateman, Dubes. It's kind of spooky to go from wide receiver 3 to wide receiver 42 right away out the gate. Hard to be competitive, I think, in that kind of regard. Tight end, similar-ish. I like Tucker Kraft. I'd be interested. I think his usage you're encouraged by. I feel like he was somebody who was kind of a sneaky DFS guy I used a bunch last year. Not so much DFS, more like gambling on the lines. But just because he got way more targets than I think people expected. And it'll be interesting to see kind of how he's using the offense since they added Golden and some of the other guys coming back as well.
Jaden Higgins at 1.14. He is sort of important here as well. As you mentioned, this team goes from wide receiver 3 to wide receiver 42. So, they have interesting names here. Josh Downs, Rashad Bateman. Bateman had one of his Chris Carter seasons, just scored touchdowns. He just scores touchdowns. It was a good year for Bateman, all things considered. But, yeah, this team searching for certainly that legitimate wide receiver 2 for the roster. Of course, they won a title, so what the hell do I know? IDP number 4, feeling it?
It's a good ranking. I like having a very good edge group. They do have the number 1 safeties, yada yada. Who cares? They do have to start some, so there is some value in them. It's just literally anybody. Jalen Ramsey's cornerback 15. Dude doesn't want his own team. Any team he's been on, don't really ever want him. Not sure how he's ranked so highly, but maybe he gets thrown out a lot. I don't know. But Myles Garrett, Greg Rousseau, TJ Watt, that's so good. Rousseau ranked over Watt.
You're like 50% of the IDP rankings.
Oh yeah, is that my ranking in there?
Yeah, part of.
I thought these were Fantasy Pros.
No, Fantasy Pros doesn't use. No, I don't trust Fantasy Pros IDP at all.
Oh well, then I suck.
Well, just blame Luke.
Yeah, I'll blame Luke. Yeah, Luke put Jalen Ramsey as cornerback 1. I knew it. But yeah, some of the other guys is good. I again, like Greg Rousseau over TJ Watt. I'm gonna blame Luke for that one too. So I think it's good. Again, this league, they do have good scoring. I was looking at the scoring a little bit. You can put up some big numbers in the IDP. It's just tough to determine those guys. Obviously offense is just so much easier to figure out. What's going on. Top 100 player is going to give you like 15 points a week. There's a lot of IDP guys in that like 70 to 100 range. So you are able to kind of build a nice team from that, kind of equaling to like an RB2 type situation, but it's hard. It can be pretty tough to identify those guys.
5.27 is the team score here. Let's do this one. Do more with less.
Chicago has given us some specific targets that will require some hard choices. We are, quite simply, going to have to find ways to do more with less.
That is a double meaning, because if Terry McLaurin is out, not playing, Jaden Daniels is going to have to find a way to do more with less there. That's for starting 1 quarterback in a Superflex league. Number 9. I don't know how that team wins a title last year, but I would not pick them to win a title this year. Number 9, Dio. Lost the title. This looks a little bit more legit because they went 10-4 last season, and they do come back with the number 3 total redraft value offense, number 4 in starter redraft value here. The problem, Adam, is that this is a very old. It's an old team overall. It's old on both sides of the ball. 30.2 per offensive starter, 29.9 per defensive starter.
Yikes!
It's a very talented team, no doubt about it. Josh Allen, Dak Prescott, that works. Derrick Henry, Aaron Jones as your 2 running back starters. Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams, Zay Flowers, George Pickens. These are legit starters. Travis Kelce. This is a legit starting lineup right here. It's just that there's so much age. Other than like Josh Allen is like the youngest guy on the team. he's what? He's 29.
I've come to appreciate age in my old age. of 33. I've come to appreciate these guys. They have a purpose. They have a value. It's just knowing that Derrick Henry is going to die on your roster. As long as it's like, how do you learn to love the bomb or whatever?
Yes.
It's like, that's what it is. Like, once you learn to love the absolute desertion of all value from all these players, you don't really care about how old they are as long as you do well. Now, this team lost the title. Hey, they made it there. They were 10-4 last year. Wasn't really a Cinderella story being 10-4, but obviously they know what they're doing. But some of these players are gaining dynasty value, which does help. Their dynasty rank is only 8, considering they have one of the older offenses. And before we get to defense, 29.9 average defensive age is almost unheard of. I don't think I've ever seen over into 29 this close to 30. Like, it's very, very, very rare. And I've been doing RateMyLeague for a very long time. So yeah.
I mean, there are a handful of guys who gain dynasty value here. Zay Flowers, Trey Harris, their 1.13 selection. Ricky Pearsall, Jadon Blue, their 2.10 selection. I like that pick. So there are some dynasty gainers, but it's worth mentioning this team loses just an epic amount of dynasty value overall. They fall $77 on offense to the number 8 dynasty ranking. This team falls significantly there. And dead last IDP. So they might have lost the title last year because their IDP could not get it done.
Yeah, I would say I like the Mason Taylor pick too. Just considering where the other tight ends went, to get him way later, considering, in terms of value, I think that's really good. But yeah, dead last IDP. Look, I know it's a 14-teamer. I do think that you can find IDP if you're competitive, and even having a not highly ranked IDP can still be productive for them. I'm sure a pretty decent amount of points came from there. Zach Sealer just got a new contract. He's obviously well liked. Chris Jones is a monster. So your defensive tackle is pretty much set up there. Trey Henderson, fully playing again. Bradley Chubb coming back with injury. I think there's still good parts here. Maybe it's not highly ranked, maybe not sexy overall, but IDP isn't very sexy just as a type of fantasy thing, so we were fine with it.
Yeah, I mean, linebacker is literally dead last. They don't have a top 30 consensus linebacker on the roster, so yeah, I mean, there's definitely issues. And again, if it was a team that was just sort of like a good team and then whatever, I wouldn't care that much. But the fact that this team may have actually lost the title last year, like, at some point you got to maybe make a trade, trade deadline. If your IDP is so bad, at some point you just have to bite the bullet and trade for some guys that are productive.
That's true. Especially a 14 team, a lot of teams that are going down that you're able to kind of be like, hey, I'll throw you a second. Give me all your good IDP. I don't know why I don't see more trades like that.
Especially since we just looked at a couple teams at the very top of this show where they were like elite IDP and no offense at all. Okay, we should mention this team traded for a couple second rounders this year, the Mason Taylor pick and the Jadon Blue pick. They give up one of their Devy selections in 2026. Well, I guess their only Devy selection in 2026, along with a third and fourth rounder. So there you go. We are seeing at least one Devy pick moved this offseason. Kind of interesting. 5.51 is the team score. Helmet stickers here. Deep Space Drift loses over $50 of dynasty value. It's giving ick, lowest rated RML staff ranking versus consensus. 10-ply, lowest rated IDP. Let's play this one. Life moves pretty fast.
I said it before and I'll say it again. Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
For having the oldest projected starting lineup in the league. And oh boy, do they have the oldest team here. Number 8, Kung Fu Panda. 26.4 average age on offense here. It's number 7 roster. Middle of the pack, number 7 in both total and starter redraft value. They are gaining some dynasty value here thanks to Trevion Henderson. They move up to number 4. Trevion Henderson, their 1.06 selection. They also got Matthew Golden at 1.10. No other picks between round 2 and 4. So a few missed rounds there, but 2 first rounders is certainly a headline for this team. Actually, they didn't pick rounds 2 through 4. I do like the Woody Marks pick at 5.01, which has become a little bit more interesting considering the Joe Mixon injury. They do have Joe Mixon here, so he was kind of a handcuff selection. This is a good running back group with Bucky Irving, now Trevion Henderson. if Mixon can go, he's here. But Tyrone Tracy getting some good pub in camp right now. And then I like Jalen Wright as an interesting backup here. And now Woody Marks. I like what they're doing at the running back spot.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think Bucky is just pretty much set up to have a great year. I do feel like his value's probably peaked a little bit. We'll see, because there's just so many, kind of stalwart guys ahead of him. We'll see how that goes. Wide receiver though, AJ Brown, JSN, Jalen Waddle. Picked up Golden. I think again, like that's a really good pick, considering where a lot of the wide receivers were already gone. In the Devi, Ibuka, Burden, McMillan all gone. So to get him at 110, I think is good value there. You kind of are looking for, a bit of resurgence of Zahid and Leggett in his second year. Though he's obviously got McMillan to contend with, Deontay Johnson, and kind of new digs. I think that'll be kind of interesting there. So it is the 5th ranked group. And like, this is a team that's pretty much ranked evenly across the whole thing. But I don't know. It's hard to be in this spot. I mean, this is a spot where it's like, am I playoff bound, or am I kind of coming in, 6th or 7th and just kind of stuck in a bit of a spin?
Yeah, they did go 9-5 last year, so we do have some evidence that it's a good situation overall. They are gaining dynasty value here, which I think is a good sign. I kind of, in a 14-teamer, I lean towards being optimistic here. They certainly have some very important, like, make-or-break guys in Caleb Williams and obviously Trevion Henderson. Those two guys, to me, are easily the most important here. And their last flex play is very much in question right now. It looks like Zach Ertz is technically the last flex guy, so that does scare me a little bit. But, Najee Harris, if he can get back on the field, maybe one of these running back backups can do something. And then at wide receiver, the rookie Matthew Golden could be an impact player. I think more or less, other than that last flex play, I think this team, you have to at least sort of think you're solid at all the starting slots, if that makes sense. Williams and Love and Bucky Irving, Trevion Henderson, Joe Mixon, Tracy. Yeah. Like, more or less in a 14-teamer, I think you have to feel pretty good about your starters.
Yeah, it's really hard to have depth. I mentioned already, but it's so challenging. And once you go past 12 teams, I mean, which is kind of the standardized. I mean, everything would be kind of built around that in like my head. But yeah, it becomes challenging there. And then IDP, we got them ranked kind of mid-pack again. I mean, in number 8 here. Really good defensive tackle grouping with Jalen Carter, Zach Allen, Jonathan Allen. Really, really good there. Kind of just saying, I got my 2 guys. I don't really need to worry about anything else. That's nice. Defensive end, we have them ranked 9th, but I like a lot of the players here. I think Nolan Smith, is in for a pretty big year. Andrew Van Ginkel, I think, as well, is kind of underrated. Maybe safety's a little not as good, but there's a lot of definitely well-known players here. Jeremy Chin, Justin Reed, Justin Simmons. Those are guys who Justin Simmons will probably end up somewhere really nice. Picked up Makuba, who I think eventually does kind of find his way onto the field.
I hope so.
Pretty good IDP here.
I hope so. I got him in our league. Last note, 1.06, they acquired that. They gave up their Devi pick in 2026, along with a 27 first-rounder. High price to pay for Trevion Henderson there. Very crucial.
I think so. I mean, it depends. I mean, look, thinking about even who their Devis are now, Shadur Sanders is a Devi. Let's see. Who's the other one? Oh, yeah, like Burden was a Devi. And he was a Devi darling. So, I think you can fall pretty fast in Devi.
5.59 is the team score. Helmet sticker, just the tumbleweed, no other stickers. Number 7, Wake and Bake Pizzeria. Wake and Bake Pizzeria. Young team, 25.8 on the offensive side, and it's a quality roster. Number 5 in total and starter redraft value here. Well, we can certainly talk position by position, and this is the number 1 running back group in the league with Jahmyr Gibbs, HN, Kenneth Walker III, who got back on the field today, and Brian Robinson is a projected starter. Marshawn Lloyd avoided major injury, it sounded like. So I guess maybe we saw some optimism about him. I have some optimism about him still. I'm hanging on by a thread with Marshawn Lloyd, but hopefully he can get back on the field there. So number 1 running back group, that's awesome. We do have to talk about quarterback and what kind of quarterback production we're going to get. Shedeur Sanders was their Devi pick and doesn't look like he's going to be super helpful this year. So Goff, Penix Jr., maybe Spencer Rattler as a starter, maybe. Is it enough?
It's tough. I mean, they have the number one running back room. I don't want to bury the lead too much. Is the quarterback going to hold them back? I think it's potential. I think people. I mean, I would say Fantasy Pros is actually. I would if I knew nothing about Fantasy Pros, like I would just kind of assume they would have him ranked a lot higher than like the last QB2,
Penix,
which I find very interesting because they always are very highly hyped on players. So I'm kind of interested to see who is ahead of him. But I think he does a little better than that, though I don't think he's like going to be, the next Michael Vick or anything like that. But I do think it can be a bit better than that. To pair that, I think that's fine. Again, super flex. So yeah, you want a strong 3. It's much harder to do in a 14-team league to have 3 good quarterbacks. I think if you're very, very competitive, hey, I'll go get Matt Stafford. I'll go get Geno Smith. Somebody doesn't have a ton of value. But to have the number one running back room in a full PPR league, to have Gibbs, A-Chain, Walker, Brian Robinson as well. I mean, very, very good. Justin Jefferson and Xavier Worthy probably are plenty in a full PPR league. I mean, obviously those guys are just going to get absolutely peppered with targets. I like Calvin Ridley this year a lot. They did already have Luther Burden, who I think is maybe not the biggest year this year, but could have a pretty good. I think he's got a lot of good talent. But yeah. It's tough because I see the number one running back room and I'm like, yeah, this seems obviously destined for greatness. But I'm a little concerned with the A-Chain. I don't know about Kenneth Walker. He's injured again. I think I'm surprised to see them ranked number one because it does give me a little pause.
Yeah, I'm an A-Chain guy, so but at the same time, he's dealt with injuries over the course of his career. He's a somewhat slight running back, so you do have to worry a little bit there. This team this manager's probably feeling like super great about their quarterback situation because last year they were just starting Goff and they really didn't have a second quarterback, and now because they didn't make the playoffs, so I don't think they had the opportunity to start Penix. Maybe one game, I don't remember. But now they get to start Penix, and it looks like Spencer Rattler might technically be a starter. So they went from 1 to potentially 3 starters, NFL starters. So I guess they're feeling pretty good about it. No first or second round pick this year, as you mentioned. Luther Burden comes in as their Devy pick here. They're also number 12 in future draft capital with no 26 first or second rounder. So that is not going to help them. How about IDP? Anything stand out?
Yeah, I mean, they're ranked 13th, so not good, not great. They do have Antoine Winfield. I think he's somebody, again, has that great name cachet. I think he does kind of play whatever role they need, and that may be a bit of a deeper free safety, but he'll come up and make plays, so that's nice to have. Leonard Williams I like still. I think linebacker, they're ranked 13th here, but Patrick Queen, Wagner, that's good for 2. You really only need, one more guy. So, Jordan Hicks retired, CJ Mosley retired, I'm pretty sure. So definitely some work to be done.
I'm going to make a bold prediction. This team will do better than 5-9. How about
wow.
That? How about that? Going out on a limb. 5.65 is the team score. Porsche 911, top-rated running back position. Vibram Five Fingers, worst-rated tight end position. Number 6, red-headed waitress. Red-headed waitress. Travis Hunter, 1.01 selection. They trade for the pick. They give up that Devy selection next year. They give up the 1.05 and the 2.05. So that is, I mean, I think they came out looking pretty good. I'm also just very partial to Travis Hunter. So I think in a Devy league, he should be.
Luke gives me a real hard time because I went from very skeptical when we started RateMyLeague this year to all in now. I maybe he talked me into the fun side of it because that is just, look, we're here to have fun. And Travis Hunter could be so much fun.
He could, I'm right there with you. I am in 2 IDP leagues. One is yours and one is a different one. And I am just shocked when he doesn't go number 1. I just think he should be the number 1 pick in IDP.
Yeah. I think there's a great case to be made about team, building and future value and yada, yada, yada. If he's just kind of a mediocre wide receiver, then it's a complete waste. But the potential of having a guy that, And MFL, I will say, does it makes it a little cooler of a pick, like put some ice water on it, because you can't put him in your defensive back spot. He has to go in the wide receiver spot. So I think that does cool it off a little bit. Sleeper, flea flicker, you can just put him in a defensive back slot, and he gets wide receiver points from a position that he's not even tagged for. Is just so insane. But it's just too much fun. Yeah, I agree. Way too much fun. Now, trading up a bit, I think in a league like this, the Devy depletion a little bit, I think makes it even more of a slam dunk.
Yeah, I really like that deal for this team. With the whole understanding that, yes, they're giving up that Devy pick and the 1.05, which turned into, a potentially a useful player. I think that was one of the tight ends that went there, right? Colson Loveland or Warren. I think they went back to back. Yeah, but the way I look at it, it's like if Travis Hunter is like Jordan Addison as a wide receiver and like cornerback 50, you have essentially wide receiver 2, which is crazy. It's like I don't think people are understanding the ceiling for Travis Hunter is like a league breaking asset, whether he's playing wide receiver or cornerback or whatever. He's a league breaker. That's his ceiling. Now, will he hit that ceiling? I don't know. But it's certainly a tantalizing thing to add to the roster there. Number 6 in total value here. Number 8 in starter value. It's a pretty good situation. It's another team that struggled last year at 5-9, but have certainly have added talent in the offseason. 27 years old per starter. They do gain some dynasty value with Hunter and Addison, who is here. Number 4 wide receiver group now. Great depth at the position. Puka, DK, Hunter, Addison, and then Jaden Reed is here. Keon Coleman's here. I just like in a 14-teamer that they have like 5 or 6 legitimate guys that could start.
That's true. I mean, full PPR league, I think having Puka is just, with Kupp gone and the way Stafford operates, I mean, he may set target records. He just does not care. He'll get it to him sideways. He'll get it to him sidearm. He'll throw it behind the back, like just kind of flip it to him. I mean, he's going to do so many things to get Puka Nacua the ball that I think is going to be just absolute bonkers. And so I love having him. I do think the depth is all right at running back. Korski, Merritt is getting a lot of hype.
Yep.
It's you going a little bit deeper than I think some of the other teams, but it's so challenging in a league like this. And then tight end, I mean, just Mark Andrews, considering what we talked about with Likely, Noah Gray is kind of a no factor here, but I think Andrews is kind of enough in time premium to carry the load.
Yep, and they picked up Gadsden in round 4 as well. He's a little bit interesting there. Number 12, IDP. It's another IDP group that you're not really going to hang your hat on, but I guess they can move the chain, so to speak.
Yes. Well, not really. Stop the chain from moving.
Okay, well, they'll stop the chain from moving a little bit.
Rate 12 here, which is, not great. Got some, Jared Verse, Alec Highsmith. I mean, number 5 edge group still, considering, they've only got 3 safeties on the roster. You could definitely find some more guys here. Linebackers 12th overall, not great. Defensive tackle, they've got a lot of names here, which, these guys are going to be rotational guys probably. But, I think that'll work out all right for them.
5.96 as a team score, another tumbleweed sticker here. Number 5, Enemy of the State. Enemy of the State, young roster. It is the number 10 roster in the league, so this is not a strong redraft team. They went 2-12 last year. Maybe better than 2-12, but probably not significantly better than 2-12. Maybe not a playoff squad here, but there is good news. It's a young team at 25.2 on offense, 24.6 on defense, and this is one of the future draft capital teams. They have 4 2026 first rounders. Interestingly, this is a team that actually gave up a Devy selection. That's somewhat interesting. They picked up 2 second rounders this year. They get Tootin at 2.01, and they also picked up the 2.05, which turned into Tyler Shuck. They also used the 2.02 on Jihad Campbell and the 2.15 on Demetrius Knight. So 4 second-round picks for this team, but no first-rounders this year. Kind of an interesting dynamic for this squad.
Yeah, not having that is tough. Did give up their Devy future, I guess you could say, to pick up Tootin at at 201. That's gonna be the tail of it. I mean, Jerome Ford, Tutton. I mean, the worst running back room Redraft perspective, not great from Dynasty. It's I don't know. I feel like if I want to be competitive in a Superflex league, quarterbacks and running backs. Yes, wide receivers give you more value going forward. Yes, they have the number one Dynasty room, which is going to be good for a while, I think. But is it enough to really like make a huge push? I mean, like, I guess you really just have to make the playoffs, and they're kind of ranked at 10th. So it may not really a lock there. So maybe we're seeing a bit of a rebuild here. I'm not sure if they've got the stuff.
Yeah, I don't love the trade, not because like the picks they picked up weren't potentially good. I wonder when that trade happened. I wonder if they thought someone like Cam Scadaboo might have been available with the 2.01, and maybe that's a guy that they were targeting, and then Cam goes at 1.11 because the running back. If you're trying to improve, and it looks like this team is just picking based on need, right? This is the worst running back group in the league. They don't have like anything at running back, and they go very heavy in this draft with running backs. So it feels to me like they were targeting running backs, but maybe they just sort of misjudged who would be there, and then they reach on Tootin, and I think. I think that Tootin pick feels like desperation more than anything. That said, he was the speed score champ this year, and I do love me some speed score champ. So I usually like taking them very late in the draft when no one is thinking about
Right.
them, like Isaiah Pacheco in round 7. That's fun. Baseball Tootin at 2.01, even with a Devi component here. Less fun. They do gain some dynasty value. They move up to number 9 in the dynasty ranking. J.J. McCarthy. Brian Thomas Jr. gaining the dynasty value here. No 25 first rounder. They do have the 4 picks in the second round this year. Wide receivers really the main part of this team. Number 3 in redraft value with Brian Thomas Jr., Lab McConkey, Rashee Rice, Jameson Williams, Marquise Brown. They move up to the number 1 dynasty wide receiver group in the league. That's the exciting part of the squad.
Yeah. Plus the picks. I mean, you're going to be able to. I don't think that they're even targeting. Really, this year, it kind of seems like it's like, hey, I mean, maybe Tootin hits and we've got something there, but just having Ford and nothing else after that, then having all the first next year, I think is going to be a nice spot to build.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is not a team I would pick to even make the playoffs this year, but certainly moving in the right direction and with the dynasty gain, and then having all those picks. Team score here, 6.05. Helmet Stickers, Mystery Man, projected to start J.J. McCarthy. Gravity Assist, gains between $25 and $50 of dynasty value. Let's play this one. The Ford Pinto.
And Pinto's strong, built to run and run and run. Pinto, a little better idea at your Ford dealer.
All the best and worst positional stickers are some of the best and worst products ever released, so the Ford Pinto, not the best car ever released. Number 4, worst rated running back position. Number 4, Sasquatch. Sasquatch gives up the 1.01. Of course, they get that Devi pick in there. They fall back to 1.05 where they take Colson Loveland. And then they also had the 1.04 where they go with Tyler Warren. So really playing up. I mean, this team is playing up the tight end premium situation as much as you possibly could. This tight end group is, yes, the number 1 tight end group in the league with a bullet. Brock Bowers, Sam Laporta, Tyler Warren, Colston Loveland, all projected starters for this team. It's pretty
They're definitely
crazy.
doing a thing.
Yeah, it's and they gain a lot of dynasty value at tight end. I mean, it's crazy. It's $89 of redraft value at tight end and $120 of dynasty value in a tight end premium setup at tight end with the rookies and Sam Laporta gaining huge dynasty value. I mean, Bowers is great. He's just already redraft tight end 1, so he just can't go up in dynasty value really that much. So
Yeah. I mean, you can start 4 of them, so I guess do it.
I mean, it's certainly cornering the market. You do introduce in a 14-team league some positional scarcity, I guess. I mean, look, it's tight end premium, so you can kind of get away with starting tight end flex plays if you have quality guys. So,
But is it enough? I mean, like, is it enough though? Right? Like, is it? Yeah, it's fun, but at a certain point, it's like, what you giving up a lot to move around to get these picks. People kind of know what you're doing. They're going to make you pay up.
yeah, it's a 0.67 premium, by the way. So PPR is 1, or receptions are normally 1. Tight end gets 1.67.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, even with that, I mean, Brock Bowers was the ninth, scorer.
Yeah.
I want to see what Trey McBride, 15. Okay, but like those are the top guys. I guess there's 3 tight ends in the top 32. I assume those guys would normally be there in a non-premium. They'd be pretty close. So yeah, I mean, look, you got to do it. I mean, take a look at the rest of the roster, though, right? It's like the 13th running back, 13th wide receiver.
They're only
it's not good.
The roster itself is number 12 in total and starter redraft value. They are all, I mean, the two things here is the tight ends, and then the other thing that's really good is the future draft capital, which is number 1 in the league with 226 first, 326 seconds, 227 first, and we also use dynamic draft pick valuation. So the fact that this is the 12th ranked redraft roster in the league adds bonus value to their own selections, which they do have. So that helps as well.
Yeah, I think we're looking at, hey, instead of rebuilding around quarterbacks like everyone else does, or wide receivers, we're going to rebuild around tight ends because they do last a long time.
They do.
When they hit, they do last a long time.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like the elite tight ends can last until sort of early to mid 30s as sort of elite tight ends, but it's just so many of them don't work out. Even the highly rated prospects don't work out. Of course, this team seems to have hit twice with Bowers and Laporta, so maybe they know more about tight ends than we do.
Tight end whisperer right here.
Yep. 23.1 per starter. This team gains a bunch of dynasty value. They move up to number 10 in the dynasty ranking. Laporta, the big dynasty gainer. It's also an average number 7 IDP group. I don't know if you want to talk about that for a minute.
Yeah, I don't know if we're not really intending to be competitive. I mean, it's tough. I mean, I look for young talented players who you also can build around. Maybe Edrin Cooper a little bit. Mason Graham, very highly rated rookie. Took him at 312. Seems like pretty good value.
Cooper DeJean.
Cooper DeJean. Exciting mics.
Making Adam talk about cornerbacks is always... That's my favorite thing to do.
I'll talk about Cooper DeJean because he's not really a corner. He's a safety. So.
Oh, is MFL going to move him? Is MFL going to reassign him to safety?
Never. I don't think that would ever happen. Unless you fully get switched.
6.55 is the team score here. Helmet stickers, Air Jordan's top-rated tight end position. Gravity assist gains between $25 and $50 of dynasty value. Jacked, most draft capital. Cool kids. Oh, which one do we want to... Okay, so brand new, most rookie starters, most projected rookie starters. Good vibes only. They are projected to start Bryce Young here. We didn't really talk about quarterback. I don't know how much it matters that much. I don't know how settled it is. But Purdy and Bryce Young are the projected starters. I mean, obviously, if Bryce Young excels and establishes himself as a legit starter moving forward, that would be huge for this team. So good vibes only. Projected start Bryce Young. Let's play this one, though. Cool, if I can find it. Cool kids.
I wish that I could be like the cool kids, 'cause all the cool kids, they seem to get...
One thing that I like about this squad, and I think the RateMyLeague algorithm picks this out as well, is just the fact that this is a consistent, young roster, dynasty gainer, most future draft capital. Like, we're all pulling on the rope at the same time, and that's one thing that the algorithm sort of picks out as something that it likes. Number 3, because, I don't know, I don't want to pat myself on the back too much, but, someone had to program this thing and took sort of that into account. I don't know. Someone's a genius here. That's all. Number 3, Beelzebos. It looks like it should be Beelzebos, but it's not. It's Beelzebos. Number 1 roster, number 1 in total and starter redraft value, ready to win it all. This roster is legit with every position in the top 4. I mean, the weakest position here has the number 1 running back in fantasy football, and Bijan Robinson. Can you believe we have to say his name differently now? What is this insanity? He changed the pronunciation on us. I hate it. Anyway.
Oh, yeah. That was, it's crazy it took so long, right? It's not like he's an unknown player who got popular.
The worst thing out of all of it is he had a Sunday night football game. So he introduced himself in the Sunday night football game and he said Bijan in the intro. Anyway, doesn't matter. Whatever. Bijan Robinson.
Doesn't matter.
It obviously falls off a lot after him. So Javonte Williams is technically running back 2 here. Tank Bigsby is here as one of the rotating Jaguars running backs that's going to start on like every Jaguars running back will be a projected starter. And then I like Trey Benson. I actually just traded for Trey Benson in a league. I think he's really undervalued, even for redraft at running back 47. I mean, James Conner just came out the other day and said they're both going to play a lot. So I think Trey Benson should be ranked higher than running back 47. But anyway, whatever. Number 4 in redraft value, this running back group, if it's just Bijan, it's still a quality above average group.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think it does kind of impinge on Javonte Williams kind of winning that job, but it could be a good high volume spot for him. I'm not really too worried about Miles Sanders, who they also have, so like they've got that locked up. It's number 4 running back room here, redraft wise, and to compare that with the number 1 wide receiver redraft team, that's pretty good. I mean, I don't know if I consider Amon-Ra. I probably should. Just something about the Lions. I don't know. I just have a hard time just like agreeing with their guys being the top guys. But if I'm seeing the number 1 room, I want to see a Chase. I want to see a Jefferson, a CeeDee Lamb. But I mean, Amon-Ra absolutely gets it done. So I can't besmirch it too much. T. Higgins, great. Sutton, I think Sutton's really great to me because everyone is like all in on Bo Nix, like wide receiver, quarterback 8. He's going to be amazing. And then Cortland Sutton is wide receiver 22. It's like, well, if this guy's going to be an absolute monster in terms of volume, he has to throw to somebody. It's probably going to be mostly Sutton. They don't have a lot of other options. So love that. I think Jared Judy is always kind of underrated as a PPR asset. So I really like this wide receiver room for their pieces. I still, again, always want to see like a top guy for my number 1 group. But, I think it's a good pairing with the running backs.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, look, it's the number 1 wide receiver group in the league in consensus redraft value. This team does falter a little bit in dynasty value. They fall to number 2 in the dynasty ranking, and you can see running back falls from 4 to 6 for dynasty. Wide receiver falls from 1 to 3 for dynasty. Tight end falls from 3 to 5 for dynasty. So it's kind of across the board that this team does have some long-term issues, but they're still number 2 in dynasty value overall. So it's just like a minor quibble here. The reason this team is ranked number 3 and not higher is mainly because they are dead last in future draft capital. They didn't have a pick in the first 4 rounds this year. They don't have a pick in the first at least 3 rounds next year. So this team, again, and the fact that they're the number 1 roster, their 27 picks that they do have are devalued. It all works against them a little bit, so they are technically dead last in future draft capital.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. You want to be competitive. You want to have a bit of both. I think that's the way to really go about it. But, they're a younger team. 26.5 on offense. That's plenty young. Even with Baker kind of pulling that age down a little bit. Some of these running backs, too, I mean, for their position, they're a little bit older.
IDP above average at number 5. Probably shouldn't hold them back too much.
I don't think so. I mean, Nick Bosa, Neil Hunter, Nick Bonito is so good. Josh Sweat as well on a new team. I think he'll be playing a lot more than he was, I'd say. So I think that could be a good boon to his value. Number 3 linebacker group here is Zaire Franklin, TJ Edwards. Some of these guys are really good. 5 in safeties. Derwin James is just a phenomenal player. Kirby Joseph as well. I think Harrison Smith is always just going to find his way onto near the football and be good there. So yeah, pretty good IDP. I think that's going to complement this team well.
I'm seeing Marte Mapu here, or however you pronounce his name. I drafted him in our league a few years ago, and it's been nothing but regrets ever since. 6.66, the unfortunate 6.66 team score here. Helmet stickers, iPhone, top-rated wide receiver position. Helmet sticker, Asteroid Field loses between 25 and 50 dynasty. Let's play this one. Construct additional pylons.
You must construct additional pylons.
Were you a StarCraft guy?
I was. Well,
that was a little before your time, I guess.
Slightly. No, I mean, I was, but I was like not like 60 million clicks per second or actions per minute or whatever. The people that were I never played competitive.
Yeah.
I always just played the game, and then I had really a lot of fun with the mini games and like the custom games. Love the custom games. I played the custom games on StarCraft 2 long past many other people.
I like the custom games, and I liked when you played online, you could play games that weren't just like kill the opponent games. There was like turret defense.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Those custom made up games like drafts and stuff like that, and auto battlers.
Do you remember the Grand Theft Auto one? Did you ever play that?
I do remember that. I don't think I played that one too much, but I do remember that being a thing.
Oh man, those were the days. Number 2, Jeff Fats Portnoy. Number 2 roster. Number 2 in total and starter redraft value. They hang on to the number 1 dynasty slot. This team does not gain dynasty value. They just kind of hang on, and we just saw the team that was number 1 in redraft value. They are losing more dynasty value. So that team falls behind this one, which moves up to number 1 in the dynasty ranking. Other than, it's funny. We just saw the team that had the best wide receiver group in the league, and they are the number 1 redraft team. This is the number 2 redraft team. It's the only position that they're not elite at is wide receiver. They are number 9 at wide receiver, and they're falling in dynasty value at the position. Mike Evans is here, wide receiver 17. DJ Moore is here, wide receiver 19. Olave at wide receiver 29. Ayuk. It does fall off a little bit. Obviously, if Ayuk were healthy, he'd be ranked significantly higher, and this would probably be more of a league average wide receiver group overall. But as it stands, we don't know how much we're going to be able to trust him this year. Are you worried about this wide receiver group? Is this enough to sort of put you off them being the favorite?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of players that are either on the downswings of their careers or like buried, like DJ Moore, or like Olave has no quarterback really. So it's like there's a lot of detractions I think coming out from this wide receiver room that would give me a lot of pause. I've never really been a big Ayuk fan. There's not a lot of, they did pick up Jack Betch 207. I think is good value. Maybe that's the you really hoping for that kind of dart throw to work, but yeah, not a lot of sure things. Now, Mike Evans is obviously going to prove everybody wrong, just like he always does. But DJ Moore is a good PPR asset. Olave is probably going to get a lot of targets, but I think there are definitely major concerns here. But I will give this team props for picking up Ashton Jeanty as a Devy. Mm-hmm. I'm in maybe like 6 Devy leagues. And I don't think he was. I think maybe there was only one of those that he was taken. So I would say absolute props for getting him before anybody else. That's huge.
Yeah, I looked at the Devy. I think there were only a couple Devy running backs. One was Quinshon Judkins, if I'm remembering correctly, and Genty. I don't remember if there were any others. So it's kind of interesting because I know he wasn't like the
Katron Allen, who's still in college.
Oh, okay, yeah. But like of guys who are here now, he wasn't. Someone was telling me Ollie Gordon was like the guy to take. I don't know. Again, I'm not a Devy guy. It's just Ollie Gordon had like an amazing season.
Genty went second to last in the Devy draft. So it definitely was not a sure thing there. And Trayvon Henderson was a big Devy guy for a while, just to kind of give you some context. But yeah. Well,
and they had Genty, but they also had Caleb Johnson at 1.07. So this running back group gets a major overhaul, where before it was Jonathan Taylor and Zach Charbonnet, Roshan Johnson. Mm-hmm. Now it's Genty, Taylor, and Caleb Johnson, which is potentially really great. I mean, number 3 in technically.
And that's why I said, build around the Devy, because what you paid, your 10th round or however it works, whatever, is so low compared to what you can get, that it's just, you have to do it to be competitive. Because it completely turned this team around. It completely turned them around. I mean, they were probably RB 8 last
9,
year.
10. It was just Taylor,
it's like not good.
Quarterback number 1. Could I interest you in the number 1 quarterback redraft situation with Jalen Hurts, Bo Nix, Daniel Jones, and number 3 here? All
interesting.
have value. And then at tight end, it is also pretty good with Trey McBride. Not much else behind that, although I will always love me some Will Dissly. I like that Jelani Woods is still on the roster. That makes me feel warm and fuzzy. But really, it's Trey McBride here, tight end 2. It's just wide receiver. That's the only question mark on offense.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, maybe you want a good 3. I mean, we're kind of missing that third guy. I used to use Derek Carr as like my great example of go get a guy who nobody really wants. Yeah. You can always just throw a later, a second or something to get him. But I kind of lost that guy. I think Geno's too good potentially. Yeah. Stafford's too old. Like I've kind of lost my like guy to go get. So I kind of miss that.
Geno is probably the closest.
Yeah, Geno's by far the closest for sure. I think Stafford's there too. I was like, hey, go get Tom Brady when he was still playing.
I mean, maybe
at the end, because it's like,
do you believe in Sam Darnold? He would be another potential.
I believe very highly in Sam Darnold.
Then that might be the guy.
It doesn't work either. He's young, so like if he continues to become good and competitive, then he's too good. So people don't want to sell Sam Darnold. I'll just say it. They do not want to sell Sam Darnold. So.
Number 9 IDP. It's not. It's not the best IDP situation here, which could matter because this team is going to be in a dogfight for the title.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's always ways to get IDP, like I mentioned from the other teams. We talked about teams way back. Feels like hours ago. I'm just joking. But they had really good IDP, so there's good IDP to get out there if you look for it.
Team score here is 6.73. Helmet sticker, the stash, Ross Strain, Gardner Minshew. Let's play this one. Coca-Cola.
I like to teach the world to sing with me.
For having
Can I just tell you, I hate that song.
You've told me before. I think on the last show we did for one of Aaron's. I don't remember why. Why?
It's like remember when COVID happened and they did all the celebrities in their mansions with pools, did Imagine? It just has that same feeling to me, like, hey, everybody, we're all in this together. When we're not. We're not in all this together.
Well, it falls a little flat when we're all in this together and we got to drink a Coke.
Exactly.
Number one team, Bowser. Bowser's number one squad here. Should we talk about IDP first? Maybe it's the number one IDP group in the league. 12-2 last year.
Yeah, I mean they went after it. I mean they added Abdul Carter at 112, which I think, I very much heavily struggle. We've done this so many times. It's just so tough to see Jalen Walker, go at 309. Even Mike Green, who I don't like, as a player, as a person, but seems like a good player. Even Mason Graham is in the 3rd round. James Pierce in the 4th round. It's just really hard for me, just because the chance of Trey Harris, Jane Higgins, Kyle Williams, even if they're wide receiver 2s, the value you get from that. A guy who's worth a late first is just so much more than you're probably ever going to get for Abdul Carter. So I don't know how I feel. I've kind of fallen off that. My team has to be absolutely stacked. Now, this team is very good, so I'll give that to them. That maybe it's that one little piece that puts them over the edge, and they have a very, very good edge group with Carter, Burns, and Reddick, playing finally. I think that could be very good. Very, very good linebackers. The number 1 linebacker group, number 2 safety group. Yeah, the IDP here is super, super good. It's just the value is tough when, it's really giving up a chance at fixing a kind of or not fixing, but helping a kind of a tough offense here.
Well, and I'll also say, wide receiver is a very sketchy part of this whole operation, and their number 1 wide receiver, while I feel pretty good that he's going to sign and play, he's not participating. He's a holding in, at this point. This is number 12 wide receiver group, and that's with Terry McLaurin as wide receiver 18 as the number 1 wide receiver on the squad. Who went at 1.13? Trey Harris. Who went at 1.14? Jaden Higgins. This team, and Kyle Williams is on the board as well. This team, I think at some point, taking a wide receiver there may have made more sense, especially they're adding Tet McMillan through the Devy. If they added another high level rookie this year, that would be quite interesting.
Yeah, exactly. So that's where I think it kind of falls down a little bit, but I mean it's working for them. They were 12-2 last year, so it's working to them. They have McMillan. I think that's just again the Devy speaks to the Devy excitement that Devy gives you there. But again, 12 group here. Number 2 in running back, though. I mean, Saquon Barkley, Chase Brown, James Cook feels super good to put that in your starting lineup. DeAndre Swift as well. I mean, that's just like come at me. Joe Burrow, Kyler Murray gives you insane ceiling between those two guys. So I talk about IDP being a big floor, right? So that's a huge floor play as well. It helps with those kind of boom type quarterbacks.
Yeah, this is a borderline elite offensive situation. They're number 4 in total redraft value, number 3 in starter redraft value. So if they can stay healthy, they do have one of the top offenses in the league. But it's very much consolidated at quarterback and running back, which both rank number 2 in the league. Wide receiver, as I mentioned, number 12, and tight end with Evan Ingram, Kyle Pitts, both projected starters. It's a number 9 tight end group, which is fine. It's just not going to move you as much as some of the other tight end groups in the league. So, to me, wide receiver is the one huge, glaring, just potential downfall of this squad. And when I say that, obviously it's not awful. We've seen worse wide receiver groups, but we also have seen some very good wide receiver groups. And when you're starting Jacoby Myers, where's the ceiling for Jacoby Myers? Khalil Shakir. Do you have much of it? All these guys are okay, and you feel decent in a 14-teamer starting them, but we're trying to win a title here. And when Jacoby Myers is going up against, who did we see? Like, I forget, but like some of the weaker wide receivers on some of those elite wide receiver teams, that's where it starts to look a little disjointed.
Even the previous team, I mean, you can have good games for them. The one before that had the Amon Ross St. Brown, the T. Higgins. It's going to be rough. I do like the Harold Phantom pick. I want to give the props there. I think 212 again for a tight end premium that they kind of got forgotten about a little bit. Even though I love Jalen Milroe, I absolutely taking Fandon over him and Jaden Blue. The Ferguson went pretty early here. Also, Terrence Ferguson. That's a little early. Some interesting picks at some of these spots.
Yep. Very good team. Should win plenty of games in 12-2 last year. So high expectations here. 6.9 is the team score. Helmet Stickers, the Waterboy, highest rated IDP. But let's play this one. Magazine Dreams.
I won't let anything stop me from accomplishing this goal. 24 hours a day. There's no days off. We can't do this at 90% or even 99%. Take it from me, if you're not 100%, you will never be successful. You got to burn the boats and burn the bridges and commit all energy. That's what separates one from being a champion, one from not being a champ. Jump in the trenches, face the enemy. This is the most important thing I will ever do.
There we go. Magazine Dreams for the top-rated team. We did it. We counted down 14-1. Thank you so much to Pick of Destiny, and thank you so much to Aaron for getting this set up. You can always follow me on Blue Sky at Andy RML, Twitter at RateMyLeague. Adam, how about you?
I'm on Twitter still at Adam TZ. Yeah. Yep.
All right. Have a great season. Good luck this year. Hopefully we'll get to talk to you again in the future. Adios.